I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out on a rainy and weather-prone afternoon. We certainly have a great turnout on this. We're also live on Channel 97. Hello to all you folks out there in TV land. And here comes Sue. I'd like everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. As I said before, I am your moderator for this presentation, and my name is still Cal Martin, and I'm still the chairman of the Delegate Assembly, at least the current one. Our question review panel from the Delegate Assembly today is composed of Gail Billick, Dolores Doherty, Jean Dobson, Marcia Midget, and Linda Spalding, and our timekeeper is David Miller. Okay, we will now introduce our candidates, going across the stage in alphabetical order. Gary Burkell, currently on the board, Joe Ganino, Sandra Gutanek, Howard Katz, Mary Jo McElwain, and Sue Savage. We're going to proceed in a moment to the candidate statements. The candidate statements were chosen by random draw as far as the order goes. Also, the closing statement is also selected by random draw. There's no significance to the order in which the candidates speak. This year's forum procedure was changed from last year. It has evolved somewhat. We introduced categories to try to get a more balanced and even load of questions from the membership. Instead of focusing heavily on one, we now have 5 different categories that will be randomly selected. Each time there's a new question, it will come from one of the new category. And to the candidates, you are all allotted 5 minutes for your opening statement. You are allotted 90 seconds for your concluding statement. Each regular question will be answered in order sequence in order by last name by the candidates, and we'll start with Mr. Burkle because he's the closest to the front of the alphabet. You've got 90 seconds to answer your question. If you have not finished speaking at the end of your allotted time, I'll give you a few seconds to gracefully conclude. You have your timer sitting right in front of you. He has a 1-minute card to hold up. He has a 30-second card to hold up, and he has a thank you card to hold up. And you all should know that Dave recently got a taser, and if you don't conclude in a reasonable amount of time, you might come to a shocking conclusion. You can't speak at the forum unless you have been recognized by the moderator. There is no crosstalk permitted between the candidates, and all comments should be directed to the membership or to the moderator. The use of profanity and any personal attacks is not permitted, and if you can't abide by these simple rules, we will excuse you from the forum. Thank you for your observance of the guidelines, and thank you mostly for participating in the forum assembly. Okay, and we'll proceed now to the first candidate statement. And the first candidate statement will come from Gary Burkle. The candidates have the option to either speak from the podium where I am or remain seated. There is no significance to this. It's just whatever they wish to do. And we'll let Gary take it away.
Thank you all for coming. I think I'll sit right where I am, if that's okay with you. And I'm sorry it's such a bad day out there, but you're an amazing crowd. And anyway, my name is Gary Burkle. I'm a retired CPA and current treasurer of the Master Board. After growing up in Michigan, I spent 2 years in the Navy on board the USS Haleakala. It was an ammunition ship. Spent most of my time, almost all the 2 years I was in, off the coast of Vietnam. The ship delivered ammunition to the troops on the ground in Vietnam. After I was discharged, I went to college on the GI Bill. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting and took graduate courses in taxation and accounting. I worked 40 years as a CPA. I was an expert in finance. I was an expert. When I retired, I stopped studying all this, but I still know a little bit about business. But I actually testified in court as an expert witness on accounting. I worked closely with owners of large local businesses. A lot of them were a little bit larger, but around the same size as Sun Lakes Country Club. And I've worked with clients on all sorts of consulting issues, budgeting, business planning, figuring out which products make the most money for them. Obviously, I spend a lot of time helping them with their tax situation. In my career, I've published articles on accounting and taxation. I was a business owner and founder of one of the largest CPA firms in Santa Rosa. If you Google my name, you'll see that firm. It still exists in Santa Rosa today. The first time I retired in 2014, I sold my interest in the CPA firm, and then for almost 2 years, my wife, Nora, and I traveled the world. So that was probably as good an experience as practicing accounting, as far as I'm concerned. The world is an education. After 2 years of traveling, I went back to work for the state of California as an investigative CPA for the Enforcement Division of the State Board of Accountancy. It's basically regulating CPAs in California and made sure they followed the rules. Interestingly, one of the cases I worked on was the city of Beaumont's auditors. And some of you may recall, a few years back, a number of city officials in Beaumont were arrested for fraud. And I worked on that case for the State Board of Accountancy. Nora and I moved to Sun Lakes in September of 2021. We love the community and we met some great people and we enjoy spending time with friends. We chose Sun Lakes because of the beauty, the amenities, the security of a gated community, and obviously the relative low HOA dues. Turn the page. Our home is on the 9th green of the championship course with a beautiful view. We often say we bought the backyard and the house came with it because we have such a beautiful view. We're on the 9th hole, right by the waterfall there, close to the main clubhouse, so we really enjoy it. I'm not a golfer, but I enjoy trying my hand on the driving range and oftentimes go out on the executive course just to see what I can do. So. Before being elected to the board, I was actually on the Finance Advisory Committee. I learned a lot about Sun Lakes finances by working with that committee. As a member of the Finance Committee, I worked with Randy Robbins on looking into the operation of food and beverage. While being on the board for the last 2 years, we renegotiated the contract with First Service, which saved about $150,000 for our community. We passed the Reserve Replenishment Fund assessment, which raises about $350,000 a year for our community. Approved projects on the golf course. I chaired the committee that searched for a new food and beverage company. But if reelected, obviously I want to maintain the beauty of our community, monitor the performance of of our management companies, because now we'll have 2 management companies. I would love to increase the board from 5 to 7, because this is a lot of work, folks, and it'd be nice to have a little more help. Anyway, thank you for listening and thanks for coming this afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Burkle. The next to speak will be Mary Jo McElwain.
Good afternoon, residents.
Not yet.
Welcome to the Candidate Forum. You can't hear me? It says green. Closer? Okay, really close. Good afternoon, residents. Welcome to the Candidate Forum. You can't hear her.
It is on.
It's on.
It's on, but it's not on the back. Yeah.
This one works.
Good idea.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, residents. Welcome to the Candidate Forum. My name is Mary Jo McElwain. In my professional career, I have spent 35 years in the corporate accounting offices of two major multi-million-dollar businesses. My position was accounting supervisor and manager in various areas. I understand financials, have done performance reviews, and conducted department meetings, in addition to managing a staff of 10 to 15 clerks. As a resident of Sun Lakes for 6 years, I'm very involved in community affairs. 5 years as a member of the Finance Advisory Committee, either as chairman or vice chairman, with responsibilities reviewing the annual budget, monthly financials, investments, and reserves. I am a member of the Common Area Committee, and our job is to perform a monthly inspection of the clubhouses and common areas for maintenance, and we report to operations. My third commitment, I am the vice president of the Lakeside 2 Condo Association, which also requires budget review, invoice approvals, and monthly area inspections. To become a board member will utilize my experience in leadership to preserve and protect the property, oversee the community's finances, and evaluate the management company's performance. When elected, these will be my objectives. Number one is to acquire bids from management companies experienced in HOAs such as ours, with golf courses, multiple clubhouses, and recreation activities. Number two, to improve communication with the residents. Number three, revamp the agenda for the open board session to include key projects and add updates from the department directors. Number four, continue to keep our golf and amenities private and well-maintained. And number five, carefully consider the report to expand the board from 5 to 7. My focus as a board member will be the accountability of the management company regarding maintenance, financial stability, and security of our community that ensures our homeowners can enjoy their forever home. Thank you, and I appreciate your support and your vote.
Thank you, Mary Jo, and excuse me for mispronouncing your last name. I think my emphasis was on the wrong syllable. Next, Howard Katz will speak.
Thank you, Cal. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Howard Katz. Kathy, my terrific wife of 63 years, and I chose to move to Sun Lakes in 2017 because it was lovely. We were attracted to Sun Lakes open space, the golf courses. I worked 39 years in information technology, 30 with IBM, and the other 9 with Oracle, 24-Hour Fitness, and a small international consulting company. 20 of those years were in the U.S., and 19 were in postings, residence in Europe, Japan, and Venezuela. I've been active here in Sun Lakes. I was a founding member of the Pass Action Group. Pass Action Group is the reason why there won't be a warehouse across the street from our main gate. I was chairman of the Financial Advisory Committee, and I'm currently District 23's alternate delegate. I've also been active in several clubs. I'm a financial conservative. I believe our budget should be realistic and met. We should have sufficient funds to pay our bills and pay them on time. And there must be funds and a plan to deal with emergencies. The master board election is significant for us. For too long, we have had a majority on the board that has accepted poor financial results. This has contributed to our diminished cash position and the dramatic rise in our monthly assessments. When Kathy and I moved here in 2017, the monthly assessment was $247. As you know, it's now $385. If our monthly assessment just kept up with inflation, it would only be $319 today. How was the additional $66 justified? Sun Lakes is a $15 million a year corporation. We should have at least $1.5 million in the bank in our operating accounts. In February 24, our operating accounts only contained $73,000. In December 24, they contained approximately $450,000. Both of those amounts are far below the $1.5 million target and insufficient to pay our monthly accounts payable. We don't hold our master board accountable for poor financial performance. Our master board does not hold our management company accountable for repeatedly being over budget. That has to change. Most people in Sun Lakes are aware the restaurant has been losing money. From 2022 to 24, the restaurant was budgeted to lose $1.7 million. The actual loss was $2.72 million. How is that possible? These losses may be history. A new vendor will take over the restaurant on April 1. Congratulations to the master board for taking action. What I haven't heard is a transition plan. Transitioning between vendors is not easy. How is the change going to happen? Golf suffers from similar financial conditions. Our financial reports don't show the whole picture. They report all golf operations and the pro shop separately from golf course and greenbelt maintenance. Golf operations and the pro shop do make a profit. But if you subtract from that profit the cost of golf course and greenbelt maintenance for 2024, the golf course lost almost $2.5 million. Why doesn't our management company control these losses, and why hasn't our master board been on top of this? The master board must begin setting goals, collecting performance data, and taking corrective action if goals are not met. Lastly, our reserves are underfunded and have been shrinking. Can they recover? Not by themselves. The master board must put additional funds into our reserves. But where are the additional monies going to come from? To resolve these issues, our master board's priorities need to change, and we need to change our management company. I am part of the first change, and I support the second one too. Thank you for your opportunity to address you today. Please remember, your vote is important. Your vote is your future here at Sun Lakes. I'm Howard Katz. I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Where'd the sheet go? I'm temporarily out of order. Thank you, Howard, for your talk. I'm looking for the sheet that actually spells out who goes next. Which, is it you? Ms. Savage, Sue Savage will now speak.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for coming out in the rain. It's nice to see so many faces with regards to being interested in what the master board is going to look like. So have you ever, while you're sitting there, have you ever thought what it would be like if you were on the master board? No way, huh? All right, what you would want to do as a master board person? All right, so today I'm going to tell you what being a master board member means to me, okay? First, it means I'm going to attend all meetings, okay? Second, it means I'm going to maintain our common areas, and we're going to come back and talk about these. Third, I'm going to adopt architectural standards, which we all know we live with. This is what a board member does. Fourth, I'm going to conduct financial business. And fifth, I'm going to enforce the governing documents. So right away, when these guys talk about 7 people, now you're getting maybe why. Okay, what does it mean to attend all meetings? That means you need to stay informed on what's going on. You need to attend executive sessions where they can only talk about, under the law, litigation, which is lawsuits between us, formation of contracts, which we just went with the new vendor for the restaurant. Disciplinary hearings, in other words, if some of us get in trouble and we've got to be disciplined, well, then that's nobody else's business. That's just the business between the person and the board. A payment plan, if you fall behind in your payments, which can happen, okay? So all of those things happen in executive session. The fifth thing is personnel issues. Raise your hand if you know how many people Sun Lakes employs. How many people work for Sun Lakes? Only 2 of you know? All right, how many? Zero. So when they say they're going to go into executive session for personnel issues, there aren't any personnel in Sun Lakes. They all work for FSR. So what I'm going to say is HOA business needs to be done up here in front of everybody, not in executive session, which has been going on for years. Okay? I think you should attend district delegate meetings. That is where 23 districts talk with the board and talk with each other about what's going on in the community. That way you learn what's going on. I think I need to stay actively involved with people. You'd be surprised how many people have things that they have to say. And then I actively need to be involved with the concerns of the community. Second is maintaining the common areas. We spent $350,000 on the South Clubhouse this past winter, removing and retiling the pool deck, refinishing the pool, repairing the dehumidifier unit, painting the entire area, and then a person's walking across on the tiles, slips, falls, files a suit with the Board of Health, okay, and the Board of Health comes here, and after $350,000, our pool is shut down. Why? Because the tile was not installed properly, and there's a coefficient for slipperiness that they did not meet, okay? $350,000 we spent. As a board member, you need to stay on top of that. With regards to our streets, there is nothing as expensive. Well, we all know, we buy gas for our car. Has the price of gas gone up? Yes. Believe me, the price of oil to oil your streets is very expensive. We need to take care of our streets. So I didn't do financial business I didn't do any of these things. But that's all right. I think I'm out of time. I would like you guys to understand being a board member requires a lot. And I hope that you can choose somebody up here that you think has the time and has the interest and has the expertise to serve you, because that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. I'm back in order now. The next speaker would be Joe Ganino.
They told me 5 inches. Is that too close? Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming out today to listen to us. I've lived here a little over 18 months now with my wife and my 2 English bulldogs. We bought a home at Sun Lakes for the amenities. I fell in love with all the amenities, but it was shortly after, maybe the first month, the neighbors came over and introduced themselves. 75 years old on both sides of me. They said, "Joe, it's Tuesday." I said, "What's Tuesday?" "It's homemade peanut butter cookie and margarita night. You're invited." So we went next door, and there was 20 golf carts out there, and people were having a great time. And at some point, in a very short period of time, we just fell in love with the people here. I play golf. Some of the people that I play with on a daily basis, they're just amazing people. I've met their wives. We interact together at night, and we go to music together. We go to happy hour together, and it's an amazing place. We share a commonality. We all grew up in an era where we worked hard with our hands and our minds, and we don't feel insecure of that being taken from us because we earned it. That's what I've learned living here in 18 months. My first priority after elected to the board will be public safety. I've owned a security firm for 40 years and still do. In the last 20 years, I became a consultant in the security business and help other security companies that are having a rough time. We're a student and we're a teacher all in one, all the time. I'd like to review the current security vendor agreement, look at the camera system, look at our fence line on the north side, which is too short, write a security plan for our facility, because we don't have one currently, but we can in a very short period of time. It's about halfway done. Financial responsibilities. You're going to hear a lot of words today about finances, about how we can't pay our bill, how we can pay our bill, how much money's in the reserve account, how much money's not in the reserve account, how much we're paying per month. Those are all very important things. They're very, very important. You know, we live on a fixed income here. Now, I'm not a CPA and I don't have an MBA in finance, but I do know this. We live on a fixed income of HOA revenue. In the golden rules, you don't spend more than you make. Everybody in this room is responsible for their homes and their households and their financial well-being. Collectively, we're able to do that. Why can't we do it as a group? I think we can, and I think we have been doing that. I think the board's done a great job. I think the people up here are very smart and they can contribute something to the board moving forward. It is not an easy task. Forensically, I've dived into this and looked at it from many different ways. All it takes is a little more soap and water and a little bit more care and we're going to be just fine. They've done a great job with a new contract with food and beverage. They're working with Spectrum. That deal's going to come through soon, and we're going to be in good shape. I don't believe that anything that we do here isn't for the better of everybody, including the people on the board. So with that being said, I look at security as being priority number one, making sure our people are safe and our property is safe. Number two, making sure that we hold accountable the contractors that we currently have to do what they're supposed to do. Now, I have no problem every Monday morning going into that FSR office and sitting down with them and saying, what'd you do last week? How much money did you spend? What was your staffing levels? And what's your projections for this week? And then I'll see you next Monday because we're going to do it again. And I think we should do that for about 6 months and report back to the people of this community and let them know where they're really at. Sink or swim time, that's where we're at. It's sink or swim time. I'll be very open to being a team player with the board. I don't want to be an individual, I want to be part of a team. And thank you for coming out in the rain today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ganino. Our final speaker on an opening statement is Sandra Gutknecht.
Good afternoon. I'm Sandra Gutknecht, and I'm running for the Master Board as a candidate who has a diverse background that includes Disneyland, Walt Disney Imagineering, and Stanford University Healthcare. These companies know how to create a great experience, how to keep their guests safe, how to keep their facilities in excellent condition, and how to be financially sustainable. I'm an industrial engineer who got a master's in business administration late in my career, and even later, passed the exams to be certified as a project management professional. My career migrated towards finance, strategy, and business operations. I have experience with facility maintenance, building, construction, and remodeling, strategic planning, forecasting, and budgeting. Specifically, I developed and then managed a $270 million budget, led a project team to install data management software in 6 months when other teams had failed for over 2 years, and planned and executed new workflows to improve productivity and utilization of facilities. In addition to pursuing this role on the Sun Lakes Master Board, I'm also the vice treasurer on the board of my very small HOA up in Silicon Valley, where I own a townhome, one of only 17 units, but we also must adhere to the Davis-Sterling Act. I've lived in Sun Lakes for 8 years, and as a single woman, the feeling of security and community is comforting. The beauty of the homes, the delightful amenities, and the view of the mountains is attractive to me. I enjoy the clubhouse gyms, pools, our restaurants, social Sun Lakers, the bocce ball courts. I haven't been one to hang out in the lounge much, mostly out of fear of meeting Mr. Right. My vision for Sun Lakes is that of a safe, vibrant, well-maintained, and financially secure community that offers an array of amenities in keeping with the desires of our residents, even as new trends may be emerging. We have residents still working full-time, as I was for the first 6 years that I lived here, and their needs are different from those who are homebodies or who travel, who join activity groups, and those like me and us up here who, even in retirement, still want to apply their professional skills to the benefit of our community. Sustaining a community that offers this diverse array of opportunity means, first, we must be financially sound and strategically positioned to thrive for yet another 40 years and longer, and that our assets, land, buildings, and common areas are well maintained. If elected to the board, my priorities are to engage with the existing and new board members to rectify our financial situation. We need to return to having enough cash to cover at least 2 months of operating costs. We need to hold our management company to their budget and require that they perform to service metrics that meet our standards. To that end, we need to seek proposals from other management companies who may offer an improved fee schedule and successful experience with our array of amenities, particularly golf. We need to understand and manage our reserve spending and asset replacement and be able to report that activity in a meaningful way to membership. We need to ensure the new food and beverage vendor is successful in every aspect of revitalizing our restaurants and lounge services. Being a current member of the Financial Advisory Committee, I was able to apply my professional skills to create a robust analysis and review the proposed 2025 operating budget. And the board used that to challenge our management company and successfully kept our dues increases to only $20 when the original proposal was for $35. And this should also allow us to build some cash. That was a great experience. But it's also clear that our advisory committees are not fully utilized, and the skills of so many of you are not exercised in the ways that you're seeking. Leveraging our advisory committees and making them a venue for our smart, skilled, and professional residents to contribute in meaningful ways to the benefit of our community is one of the more important solutions to keeping Sun Lakes vibrant and flourishing long into the future. But first, I need your vote, and that is my intention this afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Sandra. Just a couple of announcements. One that I failed to do at the beginning, and that would be if you have your volume up on your cell phone, please either mute it or turn it off. And the second is, if your license plate is number 9EUD282, your car's in the parking lots with its flashers on. We're going to move now to the question portion of the evening. And the first question will go to Mr. Burkle, and the question is, what steps will you take to make Sun Lakes more secure from theft and break-ins at the residents' houses?
Well, as other candidates here have said, security is a big issue in our community, and it's one of the reasons I moved to Sun Lakes. But we have to, as we've said, stay on top of the companies we contract to do that and make sure that we're getting the benefits we should receive for the money we're paying. And we've looked at various situations as a board to try and improve security, including even in our lounge, we've added security on some nights because we've had some rowdy experiences in our lounges, in the lounge, I'm sorry. So we look at security almost at every board meeting. But unfortunately, the reality is we don't always get the cost benefit we expect. And so our goal is to meet with the security manager every board meeting and get a report and stay on top of the performance of the contractor. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. The next one to answer would be Joe. Do you need the question repeated?
I do not. Currently, Securitas is our security vendor. That's who we contract with for private security here at our facility. Currently, FSR manages and oversees Securitas. Any problem with that? Yeah. If we can't get the expectations out of FSR to do what they're contracted to do for us, how can we ever expect them to manage another contractor for us? So today I received a phone call from Securitas wanting to meet with me, ironically right away, and give me a complete tour of what they do and what they don't do and what their needs are. They're not a bad company. They just need a little guidance, they need a little training. They need somebody to spend time with them and write a program that works for all of us. I think they'll do just fine with a little bit of guidance. Thank you.
And next would be Sandra, and I'm not going to ask each time. If you'd like me to repeat the question, just ask.
I've got it.
Okay.
Thank you. So I think an important aspect, am I on? Okay. An important aspect of increasing security is related to community patrol. And I think the potential exists to increase the community patrol. I think there's just one person at night and not necessarily coverage for, breaks. And so there's a cost associated with that. It may be reflected in our dues, or we may find other ways to cover that cost. And I think we also need some metrics of performance. I've heard stories of residents after an incident tracking the patrol and finding them kind of hiding out somewhere. And so how do we measure their mileage tracker that they're driving around, the number of incidents that report? What are some successful metrics? And I think this is information that's shared not only with the board, but could be shared in open session as well with residents so that they understand what our standards are for security and how they are performing to those standards. But I think patrol is a big part of that as well. Thank you.
And Howard Katz, it is your turn.
Thank you. I'm trying to get the sound right. More patrols are an interesting factor. The patrols, I think, will hit every place in Sun Lakes more or less once a night, but lights are awful long, and if there's going to be by our houses once in 12 hours or once in 10 hours, that gives everybody else a chance to hop the wall and get to our places with impunity. More patrols, more often will do it, but even the patrols that they have that round around once a night, I see garage doors open all the time after the patrols, and Securitas is supposed to do something. I don't think they do. In a previous life, before I moved here, I dealt with Securitas to provide security for events. Their people were asleep, they didn't show up, and they didn't do their job. I really think they need better management or a different security company because I'm not happy with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Mary Jo, don't think your microphone's on.
There it is, it's green.
Okay, how's this? No? No? That closer? All right, on the subject of security, I think that we need statistics on what are the incidents and the frequency. I don't know if this is reported to the board, but I think it should be communicated to the residents what they are. And that way, the board can assess the situation, and maybe we need a professional review of our patrol system and our gate system. Maybe we have some residents that are professionals with this who could assist. And as I said, communicate to the residents with the information so we can find, so the board can find solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Sue Savage.
Thank you. Yep, good. So what would I do to increase security? Starting with, many of you guys had the pool monitors. We had the pool monitors all through the summer to keep the pool rules and regulations under control, to keep drinking out of the pool, to keep kids out of the pool when they're not allowed during the hours and those kinds of things. So I thought that was valuable. All of us paid for it, okay, so it worked out pretty good. It's all about the cost, you guys. In the end, how much do you want to pay for more security? So maybe an idea is neighborhood watches. When you go out in the rural world, there's neighborhood watches. For example, the district delegates have zone captains, okay? So maybe zone captains take turns and every now and then patrol just their 8 or 10 or 12 houses to make sure that everybody's okay, and that doesn't cost us anything and keeps us involved neighbor to neighbor, okay? I believe, like these guys have all said, there should be some metrics set up. It's pretty true there's one person that patrols this entire place, okay, all the time. That's, yeah, anyway, so there should be some metrics established, they should be monitored, and the information should be reported. And all of us should make our decisions on what we want to do. Do you want to pay more, or do you want to get more involved with your own security? That's all I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Okay, question number 2. This one comes from the category of community involvement, and we will begin with Joe Ganino. The question is, please describe in detail your previous volunteer experience and accomplishments and how it makes you the ideal candidate for the Master Board of Directors.
Previous community involvement. Well, there was a time a while back where we were raising our 4 boys, and they were all playing baseball, and I went to my wife and I said, honey, they need a president to run the board. She said, don't do it. Do not do it. 22 years later, we were still there doing it. It just kind of works out that way, doesn't it? I've been involved with many different organizations in the security world as a security professional. I train currently on a board for Sacramento for fairs and expositions. I train brand new CEOs of fairgrounds. So there's 76 fairgrounds in the state. I speak at national conferences on security issues and illegal food vendors and the different things that challenge us currently in this country. Currently here at Sun Lakes Country Club, I'm on the board of directors for the men's club. I'm the secretary. I've submitted paperwork for several other of the advisory boards, but they're kind of in limbo right now as I sit here in front of you. So, many years of marriage and raising children and being involved in my community, I just felt this was a natural move for me to do it again here. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Sandra, your answer?
As I said in my opening statements, I was working full-time the first 6 years I was here, so it's a little hard to be real actively involved because you have activities like on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. But in that time, I did join Social Sud Lakers, and so that's given me an opportunity to make some friends and meet some people. And I also would get up and use the gym at 5:30 in the morning, and I was shocked to find the number of you who are retired who use the gym at 5:30 in the morning. What are you doing? But those actually became some of my closest friends and actually gave me my retirement party in the gym at 6 in the morning. So I've also joined Bocce Ball since 2024, but the most significant thing I also talked about in my opening statements was joining Mary Jo's Finance Advisory Committee and coming in just in time for the budget and having the opportunity to review that. And the management had originally proposed dues of $398, but through our review, and I think this is an important piece of using this type of work, was to challenge the management company. It doesn't matter if I prepare a budget, it's, they're the ones that have to live to it, but it gave us a chance to challenge them. And we were successful at getting it down to $20 and really better understanding the business. I talked about being on the board of my HOA in Silicon Valley, and I've also been on the board of directors of a nonprofit based in Chicago who does work in the Democratic Republic of Congo yes, thank you. And I have been twice.
Thank you, Sandra. Howard, what would your answer be?
Killed it. How's that? It came back to life. Good for it. Going back a ways, I was president of a car club for all of Southern California for a couple of years. I was president of a political club for all of Southwest Riverside County for 2 years. I was chairman of one of the party's political central committee for 7 years for all of Riverside County. I was on the FAC as chair for 2 years, and I've been the alternate district delegate here for District 23 for 4 years. So I've been active in politics. I've been active in clubs as president and chair. In actuality, I ran for Congress back in 2010. So I've done quite a bit of time in public work.
Thank you, Howard. Mary Jo?
Okay, here we go. Are we on? Prior to my residence in Sun Lakes, I was the treasurer of a senior center for 8 years and on their board. Since I lived here for 6 years, I'm very involved in the community affairs. 5 years as a member of the Finance Advisory Committee, either as chair or vice chair, with responsibilities reviewing the annual budget, monthly financials, investments, and reserves. I'm a member of the Common Area Committee. Our job is to perform a monthly inspection of the clubhouses and common areas for maintenance, and we make a report to operations. And my third commitment is I am the vice president of the Lakeside 2 Condo Association, which also requires budget review, invoice approvals, and monthly area inspections. And that pretty much concludes my volunteer experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Sue?
For me, it all started when I became PTA president of my kids, and my PTA group were responsible for putting the first computers into the grade school. That lets you know how old I am, way back when they did first computers. I have also, I'm pretty into money, okay? So I have also been Hemet City Treasurer, and as you guys, most of you know, I am currently Banning City Treasurer. So I really am about money a lot and how money works and whether or not it's appropriately spent. I will tell you, I will hold the board accountable for what they're spending and how they spend our money. As you guys know, I held them accountable for providing documents that are available to us by taking them to court. I will go the distance to make sure that they are accountable for our finances. To the extent that the board does not like me, they would not let me be on the finance committee. I tried, they said, no, no, no. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Gary, your turn.
Well, before I got on the, before moving to Sun Lakes, I was actually on the board of a university organization that ran the food service and bookstore at the university. I was also on the board of a large winery up in Northern California, basically advisory board, but our board provided a lot of input to the owners of the winery. Since moving to Sun Lakes, within a year I was on the Finance Advisory Committee, and while on the Finance Advisory Committee, I worked with a group that was assigned by the board to look into the food and beverage management in Sun Lakes here. And we made a lot of recommendations to the board, and that basic advice made us move towards the decision to seek out a new food and beverage management company. So that management company is Compass, and they will be taking over April 1st, next month. So anyway, that's been my involvement since moving to Sun Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. We're going to move to the third question. The third question will be first answered by Sandra. It comes from the category of fiduciary responsibilities and budget experience, and the question is, please describe your understanding of what a fiduciary is, and if elected to the master board, how would you carry out those responsibilities?
So a fiduciary means that I act in the best interest of someone else, and that would be in your best interest, not in my own. Usually there are, I think, 5 general duties: care, confidentiality, loyalty, obedience, and financial or accounting, and to ensure that these things are done in your best interest. And I'm sorry, Cal, there were multiple parts of this question.
The first was I think you've answered the first part. The second part was how would you enact those responsibilities?
Oh, how would I enact those? So the board is responsible for oversight of the management company to ensure that they adhere to the budget and that funds are spent in the best interest of the membership. And something that needs to happen, and this is in alignment with Davis Sterling, is a monthly review of the financials in probably the second board meeting of the month when the prior month is ready, and asking some very difficult and probably uncomfortable questions about how are we engaged in, staying on track, and how are we going to get back on track if we're not. And then also I would say in regards to reserves, to keeping the facility properly protected and properly maintained, and to have some better reporting. Again, it gives you the ability to push back and provide oversight and governance of the management company. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Howard, your answer.
Well, I hope I won't get you this time. Fiduciary responsibility is all-encompassing. We have a legal and an ethical responsibility as fiduciaries on the board, specified by the Davis Sterling Act and by the ethics of the responsibility to the people, because as fiduciaries, the people here living depend on us, because we have on the board the responsibility to take care of everything here, both the plant, the buildings, the common areas, and their well-being, streets, and so everything is all encompassed. So we have the responsibility to make sure that everything is here and that it works and is good and is safe. Not only that, but we have to make sure that the reserves are sufficient to handle the future. So what would I do? We would just have to make sure on the board that we are cognizant of what is going on, cognizant of how and what needs to be done, and make sure we act in the best interest of everyone, every resident here. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Mary Jo.
Fiduciary responsibility. We actually have an ethical obligation for duty and loyalty to the best interests of the community. We need to know the rules and regulations, make sound business decisions, know the community and its organization, Evaluate the contracts properly with competitive bids of appropriate companies. Financial accountability with corrective actions. Loyalty, good faith, and confidentiality. But what we really need to enact as board members is to oversee the management company. We need correct financials monthly that are error-free, and we need explanations and corrective actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Sue Savage.
Yes, these guys have pretty well told you the fiduciary responsibilities of a director, and summarily put, they are not just kidding. It is for a director to put you, the community, first before yourself. Meaning, you are to avoid conflicts of interest. In other words, don't have things line your pockets at the expense of others. I cannot close my eyes to the activities that I see that are not appropriate around me. I must take care and have reasonable inquiry than an ordinary prudent person would do. And lastly, and for me most importantly, investment standards such that any prudent man would invest the way that it should be. To these guys' points, you can go out and read the financials, and lots of them don't make sense. We're not earning the interest that we should be earning on our things. The board members do not take their eyes and look at our numbers like they should. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Gary Burkle.
Well, I think the other members or people up here covered this, but obviously your responsibility is to act in the best interest of the association. And you need to avoid situations that create a conflict in the sense of, for example, if the management company offers some sort of perk to a board member, that would create a conflict. So you need to be able to always act in the benefit of the association. The other thing is a fiduciary calls for a board member to have due care in their work. So that involves preparing for board meetings. And believe me, we get a packet of 2 packets before every board meeting. There's usually 50 to 55 documents attached, including contracts, which have to be reviewed and thought about before you show up for a board meeting. So obviously, a nonprofit like Sun Lakes, which Sun Lakes is a nonprofit, we set a budget, but it's a break-even budget. So there's not much margin for error. So we have to understand our budget and understand our financial statements. Financial statements come out every month, and board members should have the responsibility to have an understanding of the financial statements. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. And the last perspective comes from Joe Ganino.
There's been a lot of reference to a document called the Davis-Sterling Common Interest Act. Here's the book. If you want to see it when this is over, you're more than welcome to look at it. This panel up here today has discussed most of the rules and responsibilities outlined by the state of California in this document. It is my personal opinion that my job, working for you, would be to uphold the rules and regulations, uphold the CC&Rs to the best interests of the community, not myself. Very simply put. How would I do that? Weekly reviews of the security contract, the HOA contract, and the food and beverage contract, starting on day 1, every Monday morning. Empower the advisory committees to assist me, because I can't be everywhere at once, but collectively we can be everywhere together. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We're going to move now to the 4th question. The 4th question comes from the category of Country Club Vision, and Mr. Katz will get the first opportunity to answer. The question is, what does Sun Lakes Country Club look like, good or bad, in 5 years, and how did we get there? Sure. The question is, what does Sun Lakes Country Club look like, good or bad, in 5 years, and how did we get there?
Well, Sun Lakes Country Club looks pretty good today, and I would suggest that there are ways to make it better. Don't know all that they are at the moment, but one of the things that I foresee is a restaurant that is satisfactory and make sure that it is somewhere where people want to go. I see that when people were here in 2017 when we first arrived, the restaurant was full most of the time, and now it is empty most of the time. And that, I think, is one of the major things that we need to focus on. Granted, we're going to a new restaurant provider in April 1st, but that doesn't guarantee that we're going to get a full restaurant and the full food and beverage usage. What we need to do is market our opportunities, market our plant, and make sure that the people know that they can use it and it is worthwhile to use. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Mary Jo, your answer?
Thank you. Country Club vision. What I see is a very well-maintained area that's gated and private, provides the amenities like golf, restaurants, pools, clubs. The management staff should be properly trained and be hospitality professionals. We have a new company coming in April 1st, Compass, who's going to run our food and beverage operation. They have done extensive marketing in the area. They will be marketing for your participation in our restaurant and lounge. Please support them as I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Sue?
Yep, we're back to the money one. I can tell you, because I go out into Banning, we live in a bubble. What we live in is not real. We have safety, we have beauty, we have nice people, we don't have homeless. We live in a bubble. Okay. Having said that, what do I see in 5 years? We have a $500,000 loss, operating loss this year. They'll tell you. All right. If you keep that up, you're going to go nowhere. If you don't maintain your streets and buildings, people will stop moving in. When you drive in here and you drive through the streets, they're very poorly maintained. It looks like an old neighborhood. If you don't get your reserves, okay, reserves are now, I believe, at 60%, which means if something were to catastrophically happen to this, you can only replace 60% of what you've got. Standard is 70%. If you don't get your reserves up, okay. So my view monetarily is we need to get our money in better shape. Thank you. Thank
you, Sue. Gary, your response?
Well, there's a saying in business that if you don't continuously improve, you're going to go backwards. So we have to keep working on improving all of our amenities and how the beauty of Sun Lakes is maintained. The way I hope we can do that and even do a better job at it is there's a few key managers in Sun Lakes. I mean, they work for the management company, but it's the board who stays on top of them and makes sure they do their job. That's the operations manager, the golf course manager, the food and beverage company that we have coming in, and we have to, and the board does meet with these people on a regular basis to make sure they do their job. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I believe they're all perfect, or even they're doing the best they can, but what we need to do is stay on top of them. That's how we get the job done, is to make sure that our managers do their job. So, you know, other than that, it's really just doing the things that make sense from a business standpoint. and again, I have the experience on the board, we change management companies on a regular basis for less significant things. For example, who maintains our trees on the golf course? We recently changed management of that. So it's a matter of staying on top of management. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Joe, your turn.
So it's been a minute. So the first part of the question was, how do we look in 5 years? Well, through my eyes and through my vision, we're financially stable. We have a safe, secure community that we're all enjoying and living in. We're moving forward with purchasing land across the street and putting new condos in to increase revenue and adding new amenities. If you're not moving forward, we're not moving. We need to move forward. We haven't moved forward in 33 years. How do we get there? How did we do that? Well, we voted for Joe Ganino. Thank you.
Sandra.
So my vision for Sun Lakes is, first, we are financially secure, and we get there by not having the budget overruns, and we have hopefully done that, rectified that with food and beverage, and that we are managing to a budget so we can rebuild our cash. I also think that we have desirable amenities, and we need to continue to evolve those. For instance, when Sun Lakes was built, pickleball was not a thing, but it's a thing now, and we have accommodated that. And so we need to continue to evaluate the next generations coming, and what kind of things are they looking for, and how do we meet those needs. I think we'll have an excellent food and beverage service, which will be so much fun, and we will all be down here tasting whiskey or scotch and having dinner out and breakfast and whatever it is, watching celebrity chefs that these folks are going to bring in. I see our community is very well maintained, and we do that by funding our reserves and tracking to our reserve studies. So we're not continuing to defer and defer until things break and then they cost us more, and we have a period of time that's not functional. And I think we have a management company that is hospitality based, and that people have a desire to live here, so our properties have high value and a quick resale. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. We will move now to our fifth question. The fifth question comes from the category of previous board experience or similar group settings. And the question will go to Mary Jo. First to answer, the question is, a director on Sun Lakes Master Board has one vote and therefore needs cooperation from other board members in order to get proposals enacted. Personality issues often prevent people in group decision process from reaching the best possible outcomes. What would you do to build relationships and alliances with other board members in order to solve community issues with the least drama and the maximum result?
Oh, my first.
Okay. Here we go. Well, personally, I'm a team member, and I work well with others. I will listen to everyone's concerns and make a decision based on what I think, and then we have to collaborate on the issues. There's a lot of things that can happen with that, and as I say, I'm a team member and work well with others. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Sue?
Yeah, what's really interesting is being a board member has no power. You can't do, I'm a board member. It doesn't matter. What really matters, to his very point, is we, 5 of us, are a board member. And we, when we work together, make things happen. From my previous work experience, sometimes you have your own idea, okay? But really and truly, when you talk with people, especially if they have different ideas than you do, what comes out of 5 people will be an idea better than any one of you. So the idea that you want to work together to get better ideas to to present solutions, cannot be beat. Yeah, being a board member and not getting along with each other, but having the respect for each other to listen to each other and understand each other. It's about respect for your fellow person. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Gary, your answer?
Well, it's a challenge, I'll say that much. But anyway, I've been in business 40 years. I was a partner in 3 different CPA firms. And believe me, partners in CPA firms have egos. And as been stated, you can't really accomplish anything as one board member. You obviously need to build consensus, you need to build the relationships, and you need to understand the issues and be able to articulate the issues to your other board members. And I may sound like a broken record, but we're a business. I mean, we're an adult community, and we have amenities, but we're a nonprofit that really runs businesses. And in order to, I guess, get a common ground, we need to have an understanding between board members of how our business is performing. So I have experience working with partners in CPA firms with all different kinds of agendas, but in the end, I grew those businesses, and we only did it by working together. So that's something we need to repeat here in Sun Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Joe, your perspective?
Can you repeat the question? No, I'm just kidding. That was a long question. Don't go there. Any collective body that's elected to work for the community has to recognize the strengths that everybody brings and takes to the dinner table with them. These guys are financial geniuses over here. This guy's not. I understand that. But collectively, we all can bring something to the table that will be for the betterment of the community. And we have to respect each other for what we've done in our life. We are a 55 and older community. We've done some stuff. We have to recognize that. And we always have to keep in mind that we have to do what's best for the community. I will never do what's best for me, but I'll do what's best for we the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Sandra, your answer, please.
I think there was something in the question about previous board experience, and I just want to say quickly, I was on the board of directors for a nonprofit based in Chicago that does work in healthcare, infrastructure, and economic development in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which often comes up as the poorest country on earth. And I've been there twice. And it's interesting building relationships with an entirely different culture, living in a level of poverty and lack of infrastructure, which is unimaginable in 2024. And I think one of the things that I have learned in business school is when you're trying to get something done, leadership is making decisions and implementing decisions. You need to have really good information from people who are knowledgeable and people who are affected. That process is messy and can take time, but you get better results and you'll have more successful implementation. So my commitment is to gain all of the knowledge and experience by listening and asking questions, and recognizing that resistance often comes from someone either doesn't understand and is afraid, or they understand very well and they don't want it. One is additional information, and one is to consider their perspective and to think about changing in order to adapt, probably to good ideas. Otherwise, it may just not be quite the right time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Howard, your turn.
Thank you. Each one of us, I believe, moved here after completing a lifetime of very responsible jobs in one way or another. Every person that moved here, I'm sure believes that they have some very excellent ideas and the ability to get things done, which causes a five-person board unless those members are able to put their personal experience beside and work with the other person, that they individually know how to do everything better. So my position on this is that each one of us has to put our personal feelings aside and make sure that we can cross the aisle and talk with our fellow board members to get the jobs done. Being an individual and not a team player on the board is very important. However, one, if they want to get something accomplished on the board, may have to sell it to the other four board members to get them to agree. And selling and being able to compromise is the basic to that question.
Thank you, Howard. Mary Jo. Oh, you're done, yes. We're going to move to question number 6. And question number 6 comes from the category of community, common area responsibilities and preservation. And the question goes to Sue Savage. The question is, how would you handle the pool area with these concerns? Non-resident usage, glass and liquor in the pool area brought by residents, and children under 3 using the pool. Are you going to support having monitors there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Yes, yes, yes. I believe I addressed that question in how would you increase security. The HOA already had a pool monitor this summer, very effective. They had a sign outside that said, we are going to inspect all of your things that you're going to bring in. We're going to make sure you're not bringing in alcohol, which is forbidden in the pool. We're going to make sure that the kids are coming in at the appropriate hours. We're going to have somebody there for cleaning up glass and all that stuff. I believe that's already addressed in question number 1 for me with regards to security. The swimming pool in the summertime is very important. It's well used. They do water volleyball there. There's kids and families and stuff. So yeah, no, it's important to have our pool secure, clean, and usable by everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Gary, your answer?
Well, some people may not like my answer, but I think number 1 is we need to have the community better understand some of the responsibilities that they need to take when they use our amenities. Yes. Because obviously, or for the most part, the issues that happened at the pool were initiated by residents. But, and obviously we can monitor, but the monitoring costs money. I'm all for the monitoring. I don't have any objection to that, but it frustrates me and board members when it is our own members that create some of the issues. I mean, I was at the pool one afternoon, and a gentleman brought in a dog and had the dog jump in the pool. I mean, that's just ridiculous to me, and I called security, but by the time the security got there, he had gone. But he's a resident of our community. So some of these, well, I agree with the monitoring, and I'm happy just to guys spend the money, but we need to take some responsibility ourselves. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Grown up.
Joe?
The pool area. In my proposal, in my closing statement, I'll talk about citizens patrol that I'm going to create. Empowering our citizens to patrol our common areas during the daylight hours and our golf course to ensure people that are on the golf course after the golf course closes have paid just like the rest of us. By doing that, we will bank hours for our security vendor, and in return, we can utilize those hours in the summertime to have them monitor the pool to make sure that the glass is not by the pool, that people are behaving themselves, that dogs aren't jumping in and shampooing, without ever increasing one dime of our security budget. Thank you.
Sandra, your turn.
I too am a little appalled to think as grown-ups, this is behavior at the pool and I guess also in the lounge that needed additional security. But in the reality of that, I do fully support the monitor. We did pay for that this summer. We just need to be sure we have the right person who is actually monitoring, searching ice chests, walking around the pool, and not sitting in a chair somewhere, text messaging or searching Facebook on their phone. So it's important to have the right person, but it seems like that is probably the best solution and something we'll need to pay for. I think of visibility to that, some metrics, again, some reporting that may make residents aware that their behavior is actually costing money, and have that be educational in a way to help change behavior. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. And Howard, your response, please?
Okay. It's nice to have rules. We all would do best if we followed the rules. We need to have personal responsibility and take responsibility for ourselves and our actions. We can suggest to other users of the pools that they need to have proper behavior and follow the rules. But unless it's a monitor with some responsibility that is younger with a little bit of ability to communicate well, we old folks really don't want to confront our neighbors into a position where we feel threatened, especially if we're older and not able to. It's just like community watch. Are we at 80 or 85 going to run around the neighborhood at 12 o'clock at night looking for people jumping over the fence? We could not do that nor fight. So it's not up to us, I believe, to take a lot of that under our individual personal care to take care of, because we don't feel that we're able to. So I agree with monitors, and I think we should provide for the monitors and make them available.
Thank you, Howard. Mary Jo, your answer.
Yes, we do need a pool monitor for the main pool for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, very definitely. We need someone, the right person, to show, so that you have to show your resident card and sign in. We need someone that checks your coolers, for there's no glass and no alcohol, and children's hours should be checked. Citizens Patrol doesn't work. I had to call security at one point because of a toddler that wasn't diapered in the North Pool. Security came, had the lady, she did leave with her little one, but then she called me a bad name because she knew I had called security. So that doesn't work. But by the way, there is a budget for this, so it's already been set up. We just need to get the right person. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Okay, we're going to go next to question number 7. Question number 7 comes from the category of fiduciary responsibilities and budget experience. The question will go to Mr. Burkle first. The question is, do you foresee working with 2 management companies to be problematic, and how would you overcome it?
Well, I guess 2 management companies might be more complicated than 1, but I do believe what's most important is having management companies that have the resources and skills to do the job. So I believe that we can overcome any problems that may occur. In the end, it's the board that takes responsibility for the performance of the management companies. So we need to, it will be a new experience for us here to have 2 different management companies, but I have knowledge of other communities that have done it. Other communities very similar to our size, for example, Sun City Shadow Hills in Indio has a management company for food and beverage and a different management company for administration. So it can be done. It's really a matter of, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but running the business and managing it effectively. And I think if we do that, it won't be a problem. And I hope our performance improves. That's the goal.
Thank you, Gary. Joe, what would your answer be?
Two management companies. Well, I feel we needed to stop the bleeding. I thought the board did a good job by doing that, by bringing on this new food and beverage company. But with that being said, whether we have two management teams here, one doing food and beverage and one doing HOA, or we have three or we have four, whatever benefits the community, the board needs to work harder to make it better for all of us. So I don't care whether we have 2, 3, 4, doesn't matter. Whatever benefits us as residents is what I stand for. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Sandra, your response, please.
So, knowing we were going out to bid for food and beverage, you recognize that means managing two companies. Now, first of all, they don't overlap. There is a clean definition around food and beverage services versus the rest of the HOA and golf amenities. So there's probably a separation in the board meetings of getting financials from FSR, whether that's like the first hour of the board meeting and the second hour is working with the food and beverage vendor. There would be some kind of a structure because nothing about the finances of the food and beverage vendor will be integrated into FirstService or whoever our HOA management company would be. And again, there are other HOAs doing this, so it's easy to see how they manage it. But I think a lot of it just comes down to putting structure in place so that you're reviewing reports and metrics from one and then from the other and not trying to integrate them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. And Howard, your response?
If it was a generalized management company where you had two companies doing the same things, it would be a problem. But since they're isolated opportunities where one management company is doing the physical plant and one management company is doing the restaurant, that really shouldn't be a problem because what you're doing is managing two different vendors instead of one or two vendors doing the same thing. So it may mean that you have to work a little bit extra time because you have two meetings with a management companies rather than one. That shouldn't be a problem. The thing that I see is that our current board acts like a management committee where they are going into the nuts and bolts of what's going on. Our board of directors ought to function as a board of directors and give goals to the management company and make sure the management company meets those goals and take action if the management company doesn't. So therefore, working with two, as you call them, management companies, I look at it as working with two vendors. But we need to manage the vendors rather than actually manage the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Mary Jo, your response, please.
Yes, there is definition of the revenue and expenses for all of the food and beverage venues, for the veranda, for the ballroom, all of that. So that can be separated from what we're doing now. I don't see an issue with two management companies because it's totally separate on the income and expense statement. Also, as Howard says, the board oversees the management company and evaluates the management company. We're not there. If I was elected a board member, I don't want to tell this new company or FSR how to regulate things. That's their job. We just want to give them direction as to what we see, what our strategy is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. And Sue Savage, your response, please.
Yeah, we're back to the money person. I wished I could be more positive with this answer. I don't feel we hold one management company accountable. I just don't. So the idea that we're going to hold two management companies accountable, I don't know, but we're not even holding one accountable. So I find that whole thing interesting. I think You don't see the board holding the budget up. You don't see the board holding the budget up and saying to FSR, are you on budget? So now you're going to see the board not holding up the budget to two management companies and asking, are you on budget? I wished I had a better attitude. I guess I'm sorry to say I just feel that we don't hold one of them accountable. How are we going to hold two of them accountable? Good luck. Good luck. Yeah, maybe we will. Maybe we will. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
We're going to draw the question portion of the evening to conclusion at this moment in time, and we're going to move to candidates' closing statements. And I think the first one, by order of draw, again in no particular order, would be Gary Burkle.
Yes, again, I'd just like to cover some of the goals I have, if I'm reelected to the board. I want to, and we've talked about our dues. Our dues are always a hot topic, especially when we do our budget. So, my goal is to, step one, make sure that our management companies do their job and come in within budget. The obvious reason that we're changing food and beverage management is because we were unhappy with the way management ran our food and beverage operation. So that's a step in the right direction. I think we also need to make sure we understand the demographics of our community. That may need a survey of some kind, but I'm concerned with the least of us, in a sense, meaning that I believe we have a minority part of our community that's on fixed income. I realize all of us are on fixed income, but that amount may be a challenge for some of our members to do things like get out and use our amenities or come into our restaurant. So we have to do things that benefit everyone in our community, and that's my goal. And I would just wrap it up by saying that we do have a new food and beverage management company. This coming Monday, there'll be a town hall in this room, and I hope you all come and hear about our new food and beverage management company. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. The next one to give her concluding remarks is Sue Savage.
Thank you very much. You guys all sitting out there, how many of you have a budget? Every single month, you know what you can, one person's got a budget, nobody else has got a budget? No, we all have a budget, right? We all know how much comes in, and we all know how much goes out. Do we spend more than what comes in? No. And yet somehow, this HOA spent more than $500,000 than came in. So what I'm going to say to you is, you all have sat here and you've listened to the people talk up here. You have to look at the people and you have to say, who understands that I have a budget and that budget cannot be exceeded, okay? That you've got to have no more spent than you have income. If you can relate to whoever you think that is, then vote for them, okay, hopefully. That's all I've got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue. The third to give concluding remarks is Mary Jo McElwain.
Thank you. I am campaigning as a business and financial professional with the leadership skills who will identify the problems and work to find solutions that are in the best interests of this community. I'm a team member who works well with others, and I have some ideas regarding the issues I'm hearing from the residents. Most important issue, do we need a new management company? We need a company that has proven success in golf course management, multiple clubhouses, and all of our other recreation activities. Let's get bids and do a thorough job of review. Next, could the board do a better job of communicating with our residents? Whether it's maintenance, finances, administrative, yes, we could improve this, and this can be accomplished. I would be very proud to serve as one of your board members and do my very best to see that our community is all that it can be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. And next to give concluding comments would be Howard Katz.
Thank you, Cal. Hello again. I'm Howard Katz. I've studied our financials for several years. I've distributed my monthly financial analyses to over 1,400 people here in Sun Lakes for more than a year every month. Many of you have received it by email. My priorities as a member of the Master Board will be to respect my fiduciary responsibilities, be a fiscal conservative, make sure we meet our budget and we don't overspend, perform better financial management, increase communication effectiveness. I think we don't all understand what is going on here because we don't follow and know where all the information is going. Increase transparency, restrict Master Board executive meeting agendas to only those things allowable by law, and determine amenity financial support. And by that I mean, don't support a $1 million loss in the restaurant, don't support $2.5 million loss in the golf course. Let's do some really serious digging to make sure that we can come within our means, and if need be, when we have that big a differential between income and expense, maybe we as a group of homeowners need to vote on that to see how much we want to subsidize these amenities. In conclusion, thank you for the second opportunity to address you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Howard. And next with concluding comments is Joe Ganino.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you elect me, I'm going to work closely with the community, meaning all of you, meaning all of us, to find out what your needs and concerns are. Since 2008, I've been reviewing online all the contestants that have come up before you and talked about the same thing since 2008. On Channel 97, you can watch it for yourself. We're going to have financial security. We're going to have better food and beverage. The hot dogs are going to be cheaper. And we're talking about that today again. This is 2025, ladies and gentlemen. How do we change? How do we make a difference as a community? It's really simple. Our CC&Rs are written on a typewriter. Maybe we need to look at those. We're managing our community on 33-year-old decisions. Things need to change. We need to modernize. We need to get with the program. I pledge to you this, no matter what, no matter who you choose and who you don't choose, I'm not going away. I'm going to be around to support the board, whether I'm on it or not. I have something to offer to the community, and I just want you to know I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. And the last set of concluding remarks will come from Sandra Gutenek.
Thank you. The board exists to govern, provide direction, and oversight to ensure there's performance to our standards. Our duty is protecting and enhancing the value, attractiveness, and desirability of our property. This is primarily accomplished through our management company with involvement from residents, and it must be accomplished by the right management company, and it is time for us to research alternatives to our current HOA contract. I'm a candidate who has the experience and skills needed to fulfill these obligations and restore financial stability to Sun Lakes, and who will act in your best interests. I want to engage each of you to the extent that you desire to be involved and ensure that our community is strategically positioned to thrive for the next 40 years and beyond. I would also like to take a moment and thank Cal Martin and the District Delegate Assembly for organizing this event for the benefit of our members. Thanks to all of you for coming out this afternoon and those watching on Channel 97. It shows your concern for this election and your desire to learn more so you can make a good and informed decision. And lastly, I need your vote. The ballots will arrive at your home early next week, so please vote for me, Sandra Gutknecht, on or before April 10th. Thank you, and have a great evening.
And thank you, Sandra. Before we leave, I would also like to thank the delegate committee that worked on the forum. I think they did a great job. I'd like to thank you all for coming out. Really, it's great to see so many people interested in what's going on, and mostly I would like to thank these 6 people for giving of their lives to run on the master board. It is not an easy task. Thank you all. This concludes our presentation for the night. Be well, travel safe.